What up, QC crew? King Day is in the mother building.
Burn it up for so. JBRISKO, not know when it's up. Run that shit, we had all the show. Say that shit for your camera roll.
Warning. Everything said in this video and on this platform is strictly my opinion and all alleged. Here, we speak about hot topics on YouTube and other social media platforms for entertainment and conversational purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised.
What it do? It's your homie King Day here in King's Corner, and I am back with another reaction video for you. Now look. Y'all, I got another one for you. I believe I have found the Caucasian Risa Tisa. I don't know though. All right, I don't know. The title of her series is Who Did I Marry? It is a 10-part series, but I don't think we'll be here super duper long. This may be a one video hit a quitter. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning of this video, she was giving a couple of disclaimers, pretty much saying she loved, to spill the tea and talk about the gossip, but the ultimate message is to help a woman or any person in a similar situation to know that it is okay. You will get through it. There is hope. You can make it out of the situation. And she spent about 2 minutes talking about that. So I went ahead and fast forwarded for y'all. Now, I don't know nothing about the story, but I looked at the comment section and the comment said the story started at 2 minutes and 34 seconds. So I listened to the disclaimer and I skipped ahead for y'all, all right? So look, y'all already know the deal. I'm not doing my nails today, but I do have my breakfast. I got bacon, eggs, and a cold brew. All right. So I'm gonna be over here smacking it up, chewing it up with the mic off. Y'all know once I cut that mic on, I got something to say. Luckily for you, you just watching. So if you got something to say, be sure to drop it down in the comments section so that we can talk about it in the comments. All right. Look, I ain't gonna hold you no longer. I never do. If you with me like I with you, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. We're gonna get straight into this video. Let's get it. Let go.
So I met my ex in high school. He asked me to homecoming our senior year of high school, and I was actually sad when he asked me. I cried because I wanted a different boy. I wanted a boy on the football team to ask me to homecoming, and my ex asked me first. But that was the start of it, and we genuinely just clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's so sweet. And he was the sweet boy. Everyone thought he was so cute and so sweet. He was a little bit shy, but he was just such a good guy. He knew that high chews were my favorite, so he'd pick out the mango ones and bring me just mango high chews, and he'd write me notes, and he'd bring me flowers, and he'd come over to my house and do the dishes, and my family loved him. So we were 17 when we started dating, and we dated our entire senior year of high school. And honestly, it was so great, and I adored him, and it was so fun. We did everything together. We were attached at the hip. And all my friends loved him, and truly nothing, there's nothing to report on. It was honestly so great, and I loved that entire aspect of our relationship. Okay, I feel like this one's already getting so long, so I'm gonna try and kind of wrap up this part of the relationship, and then hopefully I'll do another part kind of getting into more of getting married, engaged, and then more of the drama. But when we were in high school, there was really, and I guess this wasn't in high school, so we graduated. We're from a very, very religious community. We're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we knew that he was going to go serve an LDS mission. He postponed that, and he waited a little while. He waited 6 months, and I went to college. I moved in with my best friends. He stayed in our hometown, which was about 40 minutes away, and he would come see me almost every single day. I knew he was going to go on a mission, so it was kind of it was a little more casual at this point, knowing that we'd probably be spending 2 years apart. And that's very normal in our culture and in where we're from. And a lot of people on the internet see things about our faith and about our religion. So you've probably seen the missionary girlfriends welcoming their boyfriends home. That was us. Spoiler. But yeah, so when I was in college, the only red flag, and the very first red flag that I think I saw in that relationship was that my freshman year, he and I think we got in a fight one night, and I don't remember what it was about, and he started hitting up my roommate. One of my best friends, it was 3 a.m, and he would text her and be like, hi. And we ended up breaking up over that because I said, we're not doing that. You are not reaching out to my friend. And to be fair, like, I don't think she knew, and she's one of my great friends to this day, and she was very appropriate. She handled it very well. But it was him reaching out to her, him being like, oh, we're just friends. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're texting my friend, my roommate, who's in the room over at 3 a.m., trying to just build a friendship when we're not talking and we're in a fight, bad juju. And I'm like, we're 18 at this point. We're just kids. You're leaving on a mission. Like, maybe this isn't the best thing.
Do y'all think that he was doing that just to be spiteful towards her? Like, oh, you know, we argue and we ain't on good terms, so I'm gonna do this to be spiteful? Or do you think he kind of had a motive? Like, a part of it is, you know, being a little spiteful because we in a little situation right now, but the other part is to see if her friend really going, like to see if I really can pull the roommate or the best friend or whoever that was. Like, you think he was a playboy like that and he just showed his true colors when they were upset? Or he really didn't even care to get to know the other person. He was just trying to be a little spiteful, trying to be a little, you know, immature, lame. You know what I'm saying? What y'all think? Y'all let me know. Because we know that this story is going to take a turn for the worse, right? I kind of feel like it's just in his character to be like, you know, a little Mac Daddy, little playboy. But I don't know. Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
But that was red flag number 1, where he starts reaching out to other women when we're fighting. Okay? We're going to see that pattern later on in the story, but I feel like that's like good contextually to understand the basis, and then this is getting so long, so I'm gonna do a part 2, and we're gonna talk about leaving on missions, being on missions, coming home, getting engaged, and getting married. There's so much, and I'm so sorry to make a part 2, make you wait, but come back for part 2 and we're gonna get into more of the drama. Okay, you guys. Okay, we're back, and it is part 2 of Who Did I Marry? So, recapping, we were 17 when we met in high school. We went to homecoming together. We come from a super religious community, which plays a really important part in this. We're both super religious. Yeah, we dated for a while. So at this point, we've been dating for about a year. I'm at college. He's about to leave on a mission. Okay, so we are at college about a year and a half into us dating. He receives a mission call to go serve a mission for 2 years for our church. And he gets that call, and I know that we have, I don't remember how long we had until he left. But he left 6 months into my first year of college. So my freshman year at college, he left that winter around Christmas time. And I got my mission call shortly after, and I left in August. So that 6 months between when he left and until I was leaving on my mission, I like dated around, and after he had been gone for a few weeks, I had sent him an email, because that's the only way that you can communicate with them while they're on their missions. And I sent him an email, and I was like, hey, we're not really gonna date, like, and I think we'll still write, we'll be in touch, but 2 years is a long time, and I want personally to be able to go on dates and do things to make sure that, like, if we come home and things work out, that it was the right thing. So this is important. This is my only dating experience I've ever had, was that 6 months. And I didn't really go on that many dates because I still cared about him, and we were still writing each other every month. And I had a mission call, knowing that I was going to be leaving for 18 months. So I left. I served my mission in Portugal. I loved it. I came home right before he did. And this was another part of it where I was like, there wasn't anything wrong, and really nothing had happened while we were gone, because there's very little communication. But I felt I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm excited to see him and all these things. He comes home, and we click right away again. And I remember him being like, I think I'm gonna take a year and live with my friends and go do things, and we can see where things go. And I was kind of like, you know what, like, that's awesome. If your focus is your friends, then let your focus be your friends, and like, we can break up. I'm not really wanting to like let you just go be a guy's guy while I'm like sitting and waiting for you to decide if you want to like date me or marry me. Again, we're from a super religious community. We were really young. We're 20 at this point. And we had that conversation, and then he came back and was like, no, like, I want to get married. And I said, okay. So we dated for a few months, and we got engaged really quickly. Again, like, it's so normal in Utah. And we were engaged for almost 6 months, which is actually a long engagement for Utah and for young couples. And we got married in July of 2019. And so that would mean if we had stayed married, we would have been married for 5 years now. But we got married in July of 2019. Okay, we're back, and it is part 2 of Who Did I Marry? Who Did I Marry? Part 3. Okay, so at this point, we are married. Now, it's important to understand kind of this timeline as well. We were living with a family that I was nannying for, and we were going to school full-time, we were working full-time, and we'd been married for 3 weeks when we had gone camping, and I opened up his camera roll and found extremely explicit pornography on his phone. And he told me that he had WhatsApp and someone had sent him a spam message, but there's a setting on that app where pictures will automatically download to your camera roll, and that must be what it was. And I was kind of like, okay. But it didn't really sit right with me. We had talked about pornography, and again, I know pornography isn't a big deal to some people, but within our religious community, within our upbringing, within our marriage and the bounds we'd set for our marriage, that was an absolute no. And that proceeded, or kind of pushed me to have a conversation a few weeks later to be like, hey, look, like, we've talked about this before, but like, do you have a porn problem? And he said no. And I said, okay, do you have a porn problem? He said no. And I said, okay, I'm gonna ask you one more time, do you have a porn problem? And he said no. And I said, okay, well, I hope you know that if you do, or if that's ever an issue or has been an issue, like, you can come to me and talk to me about it. And at that point, he had admitted that he had in the past had a pornography problem, but it wasn't an issue. And I remember being like, why wouldn't you tell me? Like, I've asked you about this, like, you lied. Like, I'm not even mad about how in the past you had a porn problem. I'm talking about, like, the fact that you are, like, lying about that, and that you've lied to me, our whole relationship, about that. So that was instance number 1. And that kind of led me to being like, what is happening? And even, like, the day we got married, I remember just thinking, like, okay, like, he knows what he's doing. I don't. We both saved ourselves for marriage. We both had never been exposed really to sex, pornography, anything. We'd never done anything. We'd never crossed any boundaries. We'd saved ourselves for marriage, like I said. And I remember thinking, how is it that he knows what he's doing and is so comfortable? And I'm so like, what is going on? Like, this was all very new to me. So all those pieces kind of like, I'm like, okay, all right. But I believe him. He's my husband, right? It was like 9 months into us being married. We'd kind of moved on. We were living in an apartment at this point. One day I came home and
All right, wait. You came home and what happened?
I opened the bathroom door, and he was engaging in some level of sexual activity with his phone out. I don't know if he was Snapchatting someone, on the phone with someone. I don't know. Because my reaction is I opened the door and I looked to see what was happening, and I closed the door and I walked away. And when I brought...
Okay. Now, she is definitely going on to another topic, and we finna get right into it because I know y'all like, King, no, it's getting good. But I just want to go back, one step. I wanted her to kind of finish and wrap up that whole situation about asking him about something or asking him about pornography. Now, here's the thing. Now, I wanted to ask you guys, how do you handle those situations? When you ask a person, it don't have to necessarily be about this, situation. It could be about anything. But something that you're not really certain about, so you want clarity on it. Now, that's the difference when you know your man or your woman cheating. You got the proof that they cheating. And you like, you cheating on me? And they like, no. But you know that they're cheating. This is another situation where it's like maybe talking about an addiction. Talking about habits. Things that your mate does on their alone time when you're not around. Whatever. And you're concerned about it. It's a concerning matter, right? So you come to them and you say, hey, babe, do you have a problem with whoop? Are you addicted to da-da-da-da? Are you struggling dealing with this situation or that situation, right? And they're telling you no. And then they finally later on, and we ain't talking about later on that day, okay? We talking about a couple months. They finally say, you know what? I don't have an issue now, but I did want to tell you that in the past, I had an issue with X, Y, and Z. Whatever it may be. How do you guys deal with that? I want to know. I want to know in the comments. How do you guys deal with that? Do you guys be like, red flag, gotta go? Do you guys try and work it out? Try to go to counseling? Do you guys ignore it? Do you guys say, oh, well, if it's in the past, I don't care. Brush it off. Like, how do you guys deal with that? And I want to know because, of course, the approach would set the tone, of how you may react to it. Like if you catch them in the act doing something, it's going to be totally different from they come to you and they like, babe, I want to have a serious conversation with you. And they're crying and they're, maybe embarrassed or a little bit uncomfortable, but they don't want to keep this secret or whatever the situation is from you. So not saying they trying to play on your feelings because that's not necessarily always the case, but you may feel a little bit like, oh, like I know I asked you about this 2, 3, 4 months ago. But the way you coming at me right now, like it's something you've been dealing with. So obviously you was embarrassed, or obviously you was ashamed, or whatever the case may be. So your reaction is going to be different depending on how they approach you with the situation, right? Now, you walk in the room and they doing whatever, smoking some, snorting some, whatever. They're doing something. You ask like, do you do this? Do you do this drug? I found a pill in your pocket. Do you pop pills? And they, nah, man. The homie had that and I took it from him because I ain't want him doing it. But then in 2 months, you walked in, he done popped 3 of them, dropped 4 of them on the floor, and he passed out in the bed. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, huh? Or you find him and he done OD'd on the same type of pills that you found in his pocket. And it's like, you know, your approach gonna be different depending on how they come at you. But how do you guys handle those situations? I want to know in the comments. Drop it down in the comments. Let's talk about it. That's nothing to tussle about, right? Let's talk about it, baby.
I brought it up to him later. His response was,
oh, wait. And really quick, what's up if any Caucasian women, and I know it's not exclusive to y'all. I'm pretty sure it's some black women out here, and I'm pretty sure, and men, you know, whatever. Pretty sure it's a couple Indians, pretty sure it's a couple Hispanics, you know what I'm saying, that do the same thing. But I've seen and heard a lot of Caucasian women that walk in on a situation and just turn around and walk out. They don't approach it straight up. And as for me, I see something, I'm going to approach it straight up. Unless I got a plan to go do something crazy when I leave and come back. But you walked in, you see your man fibbling on his phone and he doing something with himself. You don't know if he's making a video. You don't know if he on Snapchat. You don't know if he watching something and, you know, getting off or whatever. But you know he doing something with his phone and you catch him. You said you closed the door and walked away. What's up with that? If any Caucasian women are watching, I truly want to know, is it just like shock? Because I honestly only really seen or heard of the reaction being open the door, see something you didn't want to see, close the door and walk away from Caucasian women. And like I said, I'm pretty sure other women do it too, of other nationalities. I'm pretty sure. I know it's not exclusive to Caucasian women, but if you're watching, or if you're not Caucasian, but this is your reaction to stuff, let me know what's tea with that. Am I just hot-headed? I think I'm just hot-headed. I want to react right then and there. I seen it right now. I want to react right now. Y'all let me know what's up. So I know I've been blabbing for a long time. Real quick, lady say she walked in. Her dude fibbling with himself and he on his phone at the same time. She don't know what's going on. So she opened the door, walked in on that. She closed the door and walked away. She just said later she say something about it. Let's see what she got to say.
what are you talking about? That never happened. I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, I literally saw you. And he was like, no, what are you talking about? You're making that up. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're always constantly looking for a problem. We've talked about this. Like, why are you looking for an issue? Why are you trying to create an issue? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're right. Like, I must be looking for an issue. So that was kind of like, I guess, red flag number.
Excuse me. Oh my God, you're right. I must be looking for an issue. That is the reason why I approach it when I see it. I walk in on something, I'm going to say right then and there, flat out, whap, whap. I'm not going to come back later so that you can think about how you're going to switch it up. Think about how you're going to say, I didn't see what I thought I seen, whatever. No, baby, I'm walking in, you on your phone, I'm snatching phones. I want to see it all. What's tea? What's going on? See, I come back later. It don't matter if it's an hour or two later. It don't matter if it's 30 minutes later. You come back later. Now they got you acting like, making you feel like you crazy. Making you feel like you ain't see what you just seen. No, you approach that right then and there. And then she gonna say, maybe you're right. Maybe I am just starting stuff. Oh, hell no.
Number 2, that was 9 months into us being married. And then kind of like moving forward from this point, like, the other piece I couldn't quite put together is like he just could never seem to follow through on things. Like, I'd ask him to do something and he would forget, or like he couldn't keep a job. Like, he'd been let go from every job that he had and he could never hit quota. He worked in sales. He never was making the money he said he was making. And like, he would tell me one thing and then it like wouldn't really add up. And I was like, okay, we were both full-time students going to school full-time. I was going to school full-time. I work as a wedding videographer, and I started shooting weddings at this point. It went really well. I was fortunate to be pretty successful off the bat, and I was lucky enough to be able to provide for us financially. And I remember thinking, like, he's in school, he's like working on figuring out a career. We're so young, like, it's so cool that I get to provide financially for us. And yeah, and I ended up being able to buy us a house in 2020. The end of 2020, we bought our first house. We moved up to where we grew up, so we lived close to both of our parents. And it was kind of the same thing though, like he just never would follow through. Jobs just weren't working, but I was able to work and provide for us financially. Who did I marry? Part 3. Okay, so at this point we are married. Who did I marry? Part 4. So kind of like really genuinely, like the first 2 years of us being married was just kind of this, where I was like, this isn't really what I had pictured, but nothing like divorce, breaking up, never crossed my mind. We never fought, really. I mean, we got along so well. And I think that's something that's so hard when people talk about relationships as a whole, where like the relationship is usually pretty good, right? Like you marry that person for a reason, you date that person for a reason. Every relationship is going to have its things. And I remember we were very much the couple that like, I mean, people would tell us all the time, they're like, you guys are like so great and I want a marriage like yours. And I was like, yeah, marriage is so great. And again, we had things, and I think if I were in the same relationship now, I would probably view it a little bit differently, because I would recognize things differently for what they were, versus like, I just don't even think I had the maturity or the emotional capacity to even be able to really recognize some of the things that were going on. But overall, life was like okay. There would be little things that would pop up here and there. I could never quite grasp, like, he was kind of a spender with our money. And that was, like, another thing, especially, like, I was very money conscious. I felt a lot of anxiety towards money and towards the finances. And so I said, I want you to run all the finances. Like, I'll bring the money in, but I just need you to pay the bills and do things. And don't do that, girls. Like, you should always, like, learn how to manage the money. Learn how to manage your own money. Know what's in your bank account. I think this would have been a really, really important piece for me moving on in the story. But it was things like he started to get really invested in hunting and in hunting season, and so he would be gone a lot on the weekends to go scouting and to go hunting, and he would buy things, which then kind of became a source of like contention, because I was like, you're spending a lot of money. And like, it's not like my money was his money, but it's like, if I'm bringing the money in, like, and I feel like I need permission to ask to buy a new shirt, but you're spending hundreds of dollars on hunting gear, like, I think we need to reevaluate. Like, let's make a budget.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be the one to pause, but I'm sorry. Hold on. Something in my damn eye behind that one. Ooh-wee. Wait, what? Now, I'm a married woman, okay? I'm not just married for the trend. I'm not just around here saying I got a wife and we just been together for a long time. I'm not technically married. You know, people be together for a whole bunch of years, but like, shit, technically we married. No, I'm married. I'm on paper. Courthouse record, okay? I'm married, right? In my house, we believe in what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours, but also what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. And you may be like, how could it be both? It's both because of this. Me and my wife have a joint account. We put all of our financial responsibilities in that joint account. So whatever she got to take care of financial, she put it in a joint account. You pay with the joint account. And the same for me. I put in a joint account. We pay in a joint account. Now, we do have separate accounts. There is no, she got to ask me to go buy perfume, or I got to ask her to go buy equipment for the office, or she got to ask me to go buy an outfit. I got to ask her to go buy some shoes. No, if she wants to buy something for herself for her money, she does so, and vice versa. Unless it is a really big purchase. Even if I don't need assistance or she don't need assistance, is when we collab and say, you think I should buy this? What's your pockets kind of looking like? Because if I make this purchase, you know, I want to make sure we still good. If I put a little slight dent in my bank account by making this purchase, I still want to make sure we good. Are we where we kind of need to be financially to make this big purchase? Can we afford for me to make this big purchase? You know what I'm saying? And we talk about it, we collab on it, and we make it or we don't make it. Or maybe somebody we know that's really close to us is falling short and they need to borrow some money. And even though that person may just say, go to my wife and say, hey, I need to borrow $1,000. My wife gonna say, well, let me talk to my wife, okay? See what we got going on. It's just like a respect thing. Of course, if she just wants to throw the $1,000 to that person that wants to borrow it, that's her business. But because we are married and we are a union, we respect each other enough to say, hey, I think I want to go ahead and help out my cousin with $1,000. Now it's gonna put a little dent in my account. But he said he gonna pay me back in 3-4 weeks. And I feel like he good for it. You think I should do that? Are we good on your end? Can you help me? Can you pick up my slack? Because let's be real, as adults, bill paying adults, you fall short sometimes. And me and my wife have each other. So she falls short, I pick her up. I fall short, she pick me up. We just go back and forth with it. So if she's saying my cousin gonna put a little slight dent in my account if I let him borrow this $1,000, what's your account looking like? We gonna be good for 2 or 3 weeks if I let him borrow this $1,000? And this is all just hypothetical. And that's just how the conversation go. And I say, oh yeah, we straight. Let cuz get it, whatever. Or I might say, well, hold on. My account a little over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you give him a portion of the 1,000? Cause we got to survive until whenever, right? So that's how that works. Now, when you the only motherfucker bringing in the money, what's mine is mine and what's mine is mine. You know what I'm saying? She said she bringing in all the money and he is buying, what she said, fishing equipment or whatever he buying all type of shit. And she has to ask to use her own money to buy a shirt or a pair of shoes. And she the only one bringing the money in? No. I understand you married. And I do believe in when you're married, what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. But he don't have nothing for me to have back. If I got $6 in my account, that's my $6 and that's your $6. But I'm gonna need you at least have $1.50. And your $1.50 is your $1.50, but it's also my $1.50. We probably can collab and make something shake. But if I got $6, and I'm saying this our $6 now, if we need to use it for something to survive, by all means. If we need to use it to put food in the house, by all means. And I'm using small numbers. I know $6 can't do nothing. But by all means, but if you don't have nothing for us to kind of weigh out, baby, no, it don't work like that. And I'm not talking about in a situation where it's a patchy moment. Because like I just mentioned, sometimes you fall short and your partner pick you up. But she said this man can't keep a job. This man, when he can't get a job, then when he get the job, he can't keep the job. She said she the one that got them their house. So it's been a nice little minute now. And he has not been able, since they've been married, he hasn't been able to push his weight at all. And he really ain't got no weight to push. He can't even hold his own. So in this case right here, my love, it ain't no what's mine and yours is mine if he ain't never had nothing for you to claim to. That's how I feel about it. Y'all let me know down in the comment section. I like to talk, not tussle. Do not tussle with me about it. I just want to talk. Talk to me gently, please. But I want to know y'all thoughts. How y'all feel about that? How y'all feel about that? Since the very beginning, this man has not pushed any weight. This man has not brung any money into the house. Can't get a job. If you get a job, can't keep a job. This woman is doing really well for herself. Getting her career going and everything. Got the money coming in, buying a house, obviously buying the groceries, paying the bills. She doing everything. He benefit from having a roof over his head and food in his stomach. But why he got to control the account to the extent of he buy whatever he want to buy with her money, but she got to ask to buy something with her money? No, it don't work like that. I don't care marriage or no marriage. It don't work like that.
Let's do this. And it's kind of that same issue. Like, it just like wouldn't follow through. And I was like, okay, like this is just, we're just learning and we're figuring it out. But I felt so much stress financially that I began to take on such a workload that I developed pretty crippling anxiety. I like lost a ton of weight. There were a couple times I'd call my parents in like the middle of the night and I'd be like, I'm having a heart attack. Like, I'm panicking, and I'd be like, I need you to come talk to me. I need you to calm me down. And my parents were so worried about me. And keep in mind, again, my ex-husband was very attentive during this time. And he was like, you're so great. And he was really validating. But anytime a fight came up, anytime anything came up, or like anytime he felt like he was being blamed for, like, just anytime it felt hard, you know, he'd get so defensive. And I just was like, I'm not blaming you. It's just sometimes life is hard and things are hard. And anyway, so it really kind of took a turn with like within the last 6 months of us being married, and I just could not figure out why it felt so hard. And I, as a person, felt like I began to deteriorate. Like, my just mental well-being was the worst it's ever been in my life. And I'll see if I can find a picture. Like, you can see how unwell I look. And this is where it gets good, you guys. We were getting ready to go on a family trip. It was, this was 2021? 22? 21? November. I'm like getting off on my dates. I don't remember. I think it was 21. And we put off a lot of family trips because of COVID. We were going to go back and visit my mission in Portugal. We had a family trip to Hawaii get postponed. and then a family trip with my family to Mexico. Just kind of things have been postponed through 2020. They all ended up within like a month of each other, and I was like, great. So I like went on some of these trips, and it was great. And I went on this girls trip to Hawaii. It was a work trip, and I remember being there, and one of the girls there was going through a divorce, and she follows me on here, so if you know who you are, hi, and I love you. But I remember thinking on that trip, like, if I ever get divorced, like, something horrible is going to have to happen. But while I was on that trip, and I was gone for 4 days, I remember he just, like, didn't really talk to me. And he's like, I'm so sick. So I, like, DoorDashed groceries to our house. And he wasn't really talking to me, and it was just, like, super weird. And I just was like, what is happening? And when I got home, like, I had asked for, like, 3 things for Christmas. One was, like, a ring. Very similar to, like, this, but, like, that had, like, our initials on it. Just, like, a gold ring. And like a shirt that I wanted, and those are the only things I wanted for Christmas. It was November, and he like had those sitting out for me, and I was like, what is happening? He's like, and I made you dinner, and I cleaned the house, and I got these gifts for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's so nice. Why? Like, you didn't talk to me the whole time you were gone, and now I remember thinking, like, he's love bombing me. Like, what happened while I was gone? And it was so weird. So then it was like, I think we had 3, 4, 5 days between me getting home from that trip and me going on a family trip to Mexico. And we were getting ready to go and packing up, and I was cleaning up our kitchen, and I was like, hey, I saw someone post on social media today that like they're going through midterms, like, because again, we're full-time students. I'd graduated at this point, he was still in school. And I was like, hey, are you in midterms? Like, are you supposed to be in school? And he was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. I've been taken care of. And I was like, okay. And then I made the comment, I said, you know what, sometimes if I swear you're not even in school. And he's like, yeah, haha, goes outside. A couple minutes pass, and he comes back in, and he's like, hey, you know what, that comment you made, like, it's probably about time I tell you, like, I haven't been in school. Like, I haven't been in school for over a year. And I immediately was like, wait, what? Because I remember we applied for, like, scholarships, and then, like, I started making enough money that we wouldn't really qualify for that anymore. So I started like paying for his schooling, and there was like a textbook on my counter, and my mom had helped him plan.
And that's why I say right there, she's paying this man to get through school. It ain't no your money is my money at this point. I'm making the money. I'm making the decisions. I'm doing everything to help you. There is no such thing as my money is your money. My money is just my money. I'm taking care of you for sure, but you can't control my money. She allowed him to though. But I guess in her case, shit, my money is your money if I'm doing everything for you. Golly. Cause I was thinking of it in the sense of, you know, I bring something to the table, you bring something to the table. We have something that's ours. You know what I'm saying? We both bringing something here. We figuring it out together. But shit, in this case, her money is his money. Her money ain't even her money. Her money just his money. That's how it's working. That's what it is. That's crazy. And so you paying to put him through school, and he ain't even at school. He ain't even at school. It's about time that I tell you. It's textbooks sitting around the house.
And out his classes for the next semester, like previously, and he was telling me about a Spanish literature class, and he would go into Zoom classes. And I was like, what do you mean you're not in school? And I remember so distinctly, I was standing at the kitchen counter, and I just like looked at him, and I turned the sink off. And I said, what else are you lying about? Like, let's have a chat. What else are you lying about? Who did I marry? Part 4. So, who did I marry? Part 5. Okay, I hope you guys are along for the ride, because I told you this could be kind of long, but we are just now kind of getting into the nitty-gritty, like, shock factor of this whole story. So, last video, we ended with me telling you that my husband had been lying to me about him being in school. And, like, it had been a topic of conversation. He had told me, hey, I think I want to drop out. And I was like, I mean, I support you, but, like, I was pretty adamant. I wanted him to finish. He'd already done a few years of school. We had, like, the money, the means, and the time. And because I was, like, financially providing, I was like, you can put a lot of energy into school. You can just crank it out, go year-round, do summer semester, and just, like, get it done. Like, it's going to be so, like, maybe you'll use it, maybe you won't, but I'm like, I think you have the opportunity, like, you should take it. You have that privilege, take it. So he comes in, he tells me, hey, I'm not in school. And my response was, okay, what else are you lying about? We sit down on the couch, and I remember just watching his entire demeanor change, and I had never seen him like this. Like, he became like an entire other person right in front of my eyes. And he started freaking out, and he was like, well, why would you say I'm lying? And I was like, hey, look, you have got to be lying. And it was just like all these little things that have been adding up over time, and I was like, you're lying to me. Like, let's talk. Let's have a legitimate conversation. And he, after me pushing, it would take me 20, 30 times of being like, what else are you lying about? What else are you lying about? What else are you lying about? And he was like, okay, well, like, at this time he was working as an insurance agent, and he actually, the way insurance works is like, it was like technically his own business, like registered as his own business, but it's under the umbrella of someone else's business. And it just so happened that that business was my uncle's. And I guess my uncle had approached my dad a few weeks earlier and been like, hey, like, he's not really showing up to work. Like, are they okay? Is everything okay? And they had decided to stay out of it because my parents are pretty hands-off, and they're like, they can deal with it. They can handle their things. I know they're busy. I know they're traveling. But it was like, he should have been at work, and he just, like, wasn't there and, like, wasn't showing up. He was not hitting the money he was supposed to hit. He was not putting in the hours he was supposed to put in. And my uncle had kind of told my dad, and I guess my uncle had told my husband, like, hey, like, you've been here long enough. You've been here, like, enough time. It's kind of time for you to, like, move out from the umbrella of his business and into your own thing. And my ex-husband had just never, like, addressed that, never done anything about it, and never told me that. I had no idea. So he'd been lying about being in school. He had been lying about his job situation. He, like, wasn't really working. He was not bringing any money in. And again, in a previous video, I had mentioned how I was so stressed about finances that I told him to manage it. And again, I know I said it in the other video too. Girls, it sucks. It's hard. You can do it. You are smart and you are capable. You can manage your finances, and you do not need a man to do that. And I wish so badly I would have just been like, this sucks and this is hard for me, but I'm going to manage it. It would have saved me a lot of heartache. And we'll get to that also down the line. But yeah, so that night, I remember just sitting there, and I was like, what else? What else? What else? What else? And he just started freaking out. He was like inconsolable. He was pulling his hair out. And I didn't know what else to do. We were supposed to be leaving in 12 hours for a family trip with my parents. And while I don't necessarily approve of you running to your parents when something's hard in your marriage, I didn't know what else to do. And so I said, I'm going to go to my parents' house. I just need to tell them what's happening because I don't think we're going to go on this trip. Like, anyway, I drove over to my parents' house and I said, hey, like, I just found out these two things about work and school, about my husband, and I don't know what to do. And they were like, my parents loved him. And they were like, are you sure? Like, are you overreacting? And the joke in our family was if we ever, I might have already said this, I don't know, but if we got divorced, like, they would adopt him and disown me. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I remember that was the first time I thought, I was like, I'm going to divorce him. And then I was so shocked and sick over it. I was like, well, no, like, I don't know what's going on. It's going to be fine. He followed me to my parents' house. He showed up to my parents' house that night. We kind of all sit down and have a conversation. My parents are like, are you okay? Like, what is going on? Like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah. I'm sorry. I should have been better. And again, I'm not saying this was the right choice, but what I chose to do is I chose to go on the family trip and have him stay home so that we could have time apart and so that we could think about what we wanted and come back and have a more productive conversation because emotions were so high. And, so I left my parents' house, and on the way out, my mom, my cutie mom, she's the hero of this story, she grabbed his arm and she said, hey, feels like there might be things you're not telling her still, and I promise you, like, if there's something else you need to tell her now, tell her now. Mama Stone is a queen, okay? So he comes home and he goes, hey, there's more I need to tell you. And I was like, okay. And he goes, I am addicted to pornography. And I said, okay, what does that mean? And he goes, and again, let's remember, I had asked him multiple times, and I said, if you have a porn problem, I need you to tell me. We need to talk about it. We can fix it. You're not in trouble. It's going to be fine. Nope. I said, okay, what does that mean? It means, at this point, what he told me was that he spent hours every day on the internet, on different websites, scouring different places and different websites to engage in video chats with people, just consuming porn as well, just normal porn consumption, but that it was a full-blown addiction. Now, post-divorce, I've gone to therapy almost every week since my divorce. Even 2.5 years later, I still go. But one of those therapists told me, she said there's a difference between porn usage, habitual use, and addiction. And it's important to make that distinction. Not that I think any are great, personally, that's a personal belief, but his was a full-blown, all-consuming addiction. Hours every day. And so then pieces started to fall into place of what that meant. So those two experiences I shared in a previous video of him engaging in sexual conduct on the phone with someone else. I said, hey, remember when you told me you didn't know that I had made that up? Were you like having a video call with somebody? Yes. Okay. So that time I found porn on your phone 3 weeks into us being married. Yep, that was my porn. That's porn I'd saved to the phone. I said, okay, awesome. So this is like a whole web of lies then. All of these different things that we've uncovered, all these conversations we've had, the tens of hundreds possibly conversations we've had about this. You lied to me every single time. So now let's remember, now it's school and it's work and it's porn. And I just was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I was 23 at this point. I was 23 years old. And I finished packing up my stuff, and I said, let's take a week apart. Let's think about it. Let's talk about it. We'll talk when I get home. I love you. We're going to be okay. And I want to be clear. I don't know how I did it at the time. I don't know if I could do it now. But I was so kind. And I just said, it's okay. Like, we're going to figure it out. Like, it's going to be okay. But, like, we got to take some space. We got to figure things out. Who did I marry?
So now that we know his approach, right? How would you guys have taken that approach? If you've already comment down below how you would react. If you ask somebody a million questions about something and they denied, and you didn't know for a fact that what you were asking, was true or false or valid at all. You really genuinely wanted to know an answer to a question that you were confused about, right? Not, I know you cheating. I got the proof that you cheating. The girl you cheating with hit me up and she sent me pictures. Are you cheating on me? And he's just lying, and he lying. No, a situation where you're not sure of the answer. You don't know if this person is lying. You don't know if you just too wrapped up in your head, like if you're overthinking something. So you ask a genuine question looking for a genuine answer. Now that you guys see how he approached it, it took her mom to say, hey, I feel like you still holding something back. Tell her whatever you need to tell her. And he built up that courage to come out and talk about and admit a problem or an addiction. It is hard for people addicted to things to just say, yeah, I'm addicted to this, or I'm obsessed with this, or I like this, or I overuse this, or overdo that, right? So he has come out and he's like, I need to tell you something. He tells her. He's honest this time when she says, so when I seen the videos, he like, yep, that's mine. When I walked in, yep, I was on there with another girl. Whatever. How would you guys, she said she was nice. She said she don't even know how she was nice. She said she was nice about the situation. How would you guys handle that approach? Y'all let me know in the comment section.
Part 6. Okay, guys. I guess we're still going. This is the part of the story where I'm not even really sure, it gets so messy. So, like I said in my first video, I'm going to stick to what I have factual evidence and proof of. And while that is just scratching the surface, that is, it's just the easiest way to tell the story, and then, we'll see. We'll go from there. So, at this point, I told him, you know what, I'm going to go back to my parents' house. I'm going to sleep there, and, we're good. As good as we can be, but, I'm going to go on this trip. We'll talk when I get home. So, that night, I'm up till, 3 a.m. with my mom, just talking, and I literally couldn't sleep. I couldn't function. I felt like my whole life had been turned upside down. I kind of mentioned it in one of the other videos, there were textbooks on my counter, you guys. People always ask me, people literally, I tell them my story, and they're like, how did you not know? One, I was naive. I'll admit that all day long. I could not fathom someone doing that to me. 2, there were textbooks on my counter. There were Zoom meetings, that he was going into for school, and that's how I didn't know. The porn stuff, I was gone a lot. My job requires me to work a lot. I'm gone a lot of the weekends. I shoot a lot of weddings out of Utah, so I am gone a lot. It gives him a lot of opportunities to be alone and do things. I said in another video, he was really into hunting. He would go hunting a ton. And that was contentious for me. The weekends I'd be home not shooting a wedding. He'd be like, oh, I gotta go hunting. And I'm like, I have not seen you, I feel like, in months. And I remember thinking I had a wedding on October 2nd. And I remember thinking, if I can get to October 2nd, everything will be okay. And I remember just counting down the days, because it's kind of my last big, wedding for the year.
And the day that everything happened was November 17th. And I looked it up. It was 2021, November 17th, 2021. So I leave on that trip with my family. And we had a Ring doorbell camera on our front door. And we had a single security camera that overlooked like our living room and kitchen. And I don't know. I just like in my gut felt so weird. I had his location. The location never left our house literally all week, which means he didn't go to work the entire week that I was gone. And he's like, I promise I'm going to go to work. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go to therapy. Okay. Did not leave the house one time. But like some of his birthday and Christmas were both coming up. And I remember like the packages starting coming in and I watched him open the presents like through our security camera at the house. And I was like, why? He knows those are his birthday presents. Why is he opening them? Whatever. Okay. That's not important. But I really did religiously watch that camera. We're on the beach in Mexico and I'm like watching the security camera like it's my full-time job. And of all the clips of him, I don't know how this one even caught my attention, but he was sitting on the couch. He pulled out his phone. He looks at it. He walks up to the mirror in our living room. He does a peace sign. He X's out. He takes another picture, flips the camera, takes another picture, and then walks into the bedroom. Now, we always joke about, like, the internet sleuth girlies on the internet, the internet sleuth girlies on the internet. But you know what I mean. Like, we can find anything out. Through analyzing that video nonstop, I recognized that as Snapchat, which we had agreed we would not have Snapchat in our marriage. And I knew that was Snapchat. I knew it was. And so I kind of held on to that. I didn't really say anything, but I mentioned it to my parents. And I'm kind of like a one-track mind girl. And I was like, what is this video? What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? Meanwhile, while I was in Mexico, there's only so much you can do from out of the country. I froze all of our bank accounts. I froze everything. I changed passwords on everything. I just like knew. It was like precautions I started taking, knowing that like I was scared he was going to take all the money and leave. Things just got so weird in that interaction the night before. And anyway, so I'm showing my family this video, and my little brother, he was like 15, 16 at the time. He's the only one in the family that has Snapchat. And he goes, oh, are you talking about Snapchat? Are you talking about so-and-so having Snapchat? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, actually, I'm going to find a screenshot of this too. I said this in the last video, but where he had gotten a notification saying your contact and then my ex-husband's name is on Snapchat under the username. And the username was a woman's name. And my little brother thought that was super weird. Now, this little boy he's not even little anymore, does not register anything. He has no idea anything going on, ever. I'm pretty sure I'd heard him speak 3 words up until this point of his life. And I'm like, wait, really? He's like, yeah, I actually texted him. And I was like, you like registered that and then confronted him and didn't tell me? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. So he pulls up this conversation with my ex-husband, and it says, hey, are you on Snapchat? My ex-husband says, no, why? And he goes, well, I just got this notification, sends him a screenshot. He goes, that's so weird, I must have been hacked. And my little brother goes, yeah, I don't know. So it turns out, though, like, you know, Snapchat is connected to your phone number. So I pull up Snapchat, I haven't had it on my phone in years, and I go through the whole process of opening my account, and I'm like, it is, like, the reason my little brother got that notification is because that account has to be verified through your phone number. Which means that he went in, opened a Snapchat account, or changed his Snapchat account, whatever, used his phone number to verify it, and then changed it to a woman's name. Which, that does not bode well for us, right? So I find that out while we're in Mexico. And I actually just sat on it. I just didn't really say anything about it, but it ate me alive. And I think I knew what that meant. So I'm in Mexico, I'm doing that. I come home, and I say, hey, let's have a conversation. I didn't feel comfortable being alone with him anymore, so my parents were present for that, and he came over the next day, and we had a sit-down conversation, voice recorded. I have a voice recording of every single thing in that conversation, which he gave approval for, saying that he would sign over the house to be fully in my name, because he was on the signing documents, he was on the house, even though I paid for it. And then I said, okay, I need you to say, did you lie about school? Yes. Did you lie about work? Yes. Did you lie about this? Yes. Kind of giving myself like a security and insurance if this ever became an issue down the line. And that's when I told him, I said, hey, we're going to separate. And I didn't know for sure I was getting a divorce. I remember praying and being like, I feel like people won't, which this is so sad too. Like, as women understand this. Like, I remember thinking, like, he didn't hit me, and to my knowledge, I mean, like, porn, whatever, internet, people don't really consider that cheating, but, like, he didn't cheat on me, and, like, he didn't hit me, so, like, people aren't going to justify this as enough of a reason to leave.
No. And I know it varies by relationships. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about the usage and watching and all of that of adult videos in the comment section. Some people consider it cheating. Some people like, I'm fine with my man or my woman doing that as long as they're not doing it outside with other people. Others may say, I'm fine with my man or woman doing that as long as they do it around me and not behind my back. I'm fine, things like that. So y'all let me know how y'all feel about that particular subject, adult videos. But this woman mentioned that he was not only watching adult videos, okay? That's one thing. And not only watching them excessively, that's another thing. But he was engaging in like video chats with other women. Isn't that what she said in like part 3 or 4? Or maybe it was the last part. I don't know. It wasn't too long ago. He was in the bathroom on video chats with women. He's sending people his parts and showing people his parts also. That's when you kind of, for me, draw that line of cheating. I may not like how much of it you watching. I may not like you watching it at all. But that's one thing. But to be on a video chat with somebody, y'all exchanging pictures, you on Snapchat with it, like that's cheating. In my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think. In my opinion, once you cross that line, that's cheating. Even though you're not touching her, she's not touching you. She probably don't even know what your face looks like. You know what I'm saying? Y'all probably just recording just y'all little areas. In my opinion, that's cheating. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. I like to talk, not tussle, baby. Let's finish this up.
Leave, which is so sad and not true and not right. But anyway, I remember just thinking, okay, like, I'm just going to take some time. I just need to and also I was in shock. Like, I just needed to register what was happening. It'd been 7 days at this point from me thinking I had a happy marriage to my life was in shambles. And again, I have not brought up the Snapchat video. But yeah, I told him we're going to separate. I need you to move out of the house, and, we are going to proceed, and we're going to work through this as best as we can, and then we'll make a decision on what's going to be best for us. And he's like, I'm going to therapy. I'm going to do this. I want you back. I will do anything. I'll do anything. I'll do anything. I'll do anything. And I was like, okay, show me then. Just show me. Who did I marry? Part 6. Okay, guys. I guess we're still going. Who did I marry? Part 7. So I'm officially separated from my husband. I just literally never went back to my house. I was so traumatized by all of it. I made him move out, but I was staying at my parents' house. And I'm so lucky to have had them. And I know there's so many women who don't have that. And my heart breaks for you. I say it all the time that if I hadn't had the support system that I'd had, I think I would have crumbled. And also, it's this is a whole other can to open up, and a conversation I do want to touch on. I don't think I could have left if I didn't have the support system that I'd had. I just didn't even have the confidence or the understanding of reality of real life that my life would go on. And I know so many women can resonate with that and understand that. My parents were amazing too, and they never told me what to do. If that were my kid, I'd be like, run, get out. My parents were just, what they said to me was, we don't want you to choose to stay and then have us tell you to leave and then you resent us, or vice versa. And so they said, we support you 1,000% no matter what you do. You're sliding again, so sorry. We support you no matter what you do, no matter what you choose, but we want what's best for you. We want you to be happy. And again, I know not everybody has that either. And I think I'm so incredibly blessed and so lucky to have had that. And if that was not your experience, I want you to know, I feel for you, and you're amazing and you're incredible. But for about the next 3 weeks, I think I met with him 2 times. Both were supervised. I would not meet with him alone. I didn't think it was appropriate to do it with our parents, so we met with our bishop. And I know that might seem weird, especially to people who are not members of our faith, but a bishop can at times kind of act almost like a counselor, as someone who's kind of impartial, who can help you talk through things. So the 2 times I met with him in person were supervised and with him. And my ex, he did go to therapy, and he came out of that therapy session. He said, my therapist told me that he thinks I have multiple personality disorder. And I black out when I lie, and I don't remember what's happening, and I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just who I am, and I was raised this way and all these things. And I was like, okay, And I remember telling him, I said, that must be so hard for you. Whether or not that's true, obviously he's got demons. I remember saying, I love you, and I'm really sorry that that is something that you're dealing with in whatever capacity that might be. So he told me he was diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, but I was not present for that conversation, and I don't know if that's something that he still stands by or resonates with, but in my opinion, it does kind of make a little bit more sense. He also told me, kind of along with that, he said there's a personality that you're married to and that you know, and then there's a personality, a separate one, that does really horrific things and participates in really horrific things, and that is the personality that does all this other stuff. And you have no idea even the beginning of any of that. And I will never forget that conversation or that comment. And I just remember thinking, okay. He's like, but I'm getting help and it's going to be okay. And I kind of spent those 3 weeks just being like, okay. And then I was shooting a wedding out of the country. It was my first international wedding. And I called a friend of mine, and she knows who she is. I don't think she even has TikTok, but I didn't know her that well at this point, but she's also in the photo video community, and I was like, hey, do you want to come with me? I went to Jamaica. I said, do you want to come to Jamaica with me for 5 days, all-inclusive resort, to shoot a wedding? I need someone to come with me. And she was like, are you okay? And I was like, no. She had no idea. She didn't know until we got there, and I told her everything going on. I had left on that trip, and I had told my ex, I said, I need you to make me a comprehensive list of everything you have lied about. Everything. Every single thing. And he's like, okay, I don't know. Okay, so I'm on this trip, and I didn't really speak to him. Shot the wedding, it went well. My cute friend was such a support to me. I came home, and I said, okay, it's been a week. You said you'd have a list for me. And he's like, well, sorry, I forgot. And I didn't. See, back to the whole never follows through on anything. And I was like, I give you a week, and you can't even do it. And I said, I expect to have this comprehensive list of everything you've lied about done and presented to me. And finally, he sends me a list. It has like 3 things on it. He's like, one time I said I was going to work, and instead I went to Shields. And I'm like, okay, I lied about work and I lied about school. And I'm like, really? Okay. I know there's so much more to it. And I remember coming home from that trip, and I went back to our joint house that we'd shared that neither of us were living in for the first time. And I was just sitting there, and I called him. And it was like, I remember thinking, like, this is the first time I'm talking to my husband. Like, he was calm, he was kind, and I was like, this is like a legit, real, like, productive conversation. And so that's when I brought up the Snapchat video. And it was crazy, because, like, and again, maybe it's multiple personality disorder, BPD, I don't know. I'm going off of what he told me, and I don't know, right? But if that's true, I feel like I literally watched, within that conversation, him morph into this other personality, this other person. And I remember being like, look, you're using Snapchat. No, I'm not. And then I fibbed a little bit. I'll be honest. I said, okay, well, I went in and I went into Snapchat and I, like, logged into your account. And he's like, okay, fine. I do have a Snapchat, but I just used it to look at my Snapchat memories. And I said, are you sure? Is that the story you're going to go with? And remember, for the last 3 weeks, from the day that he had said, oh, I'm lying about school and work, there's nothing else, I promise there's nothing else. Me coming home, separating, there's nothing else, I promise. Probably 700 times told me there's nothing else he's lying about. Asked him to write a comprehensive list of everything he's lying about. There's nothing. And I say, okay, is that the story you're going with? And he goes, well, and that is where it turns out that he was using certain websites, like video chat websites, where you can, like, connect with people and, like, basically have internet sex online, and then getting their contact information, specifically using, like, Snapchat. And he was maintaining relationships with those women. I have a friend in a similar circumstance who kind of dealt with a similar thing with the Snapchat thing, and her husband was getting prosecuted for soliciting prostitutes using Snapchat. So I am not allegedly anything. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is it's crazy, because that's the same thing that I dealt with. And I'm not going to go too far into that, because that's where it's like, I don't have factual evidence, anything beyond here. Do I believe that it went a lot further? I do. The other crazy thing, and I talked to my mom about this today on the phone, I never went through his phone. Never one time. not even, I mean, I think I checked his computer one time right before all this happened. I didn't find anything. But I'm like, he's admitting all of this stuff to me. Like, now my reaction would be like, give me your phone. I can just imagine the conversations and the things that I would see on that phone. But, yeah, at that point is when he admitted to having multiple relationships. To what extent, I don't fully know. And I didn't ask. Because for me, like, and it's the same thing as like, oh, I don't really care about my wedding ring. I don't really care about this. It was like, I had enough. I can now say he cheated. He admitted to cheating on me. And I said, did you cheat on me? He said, yes. And I said, cool. I don't need to know anymore. I don't want to know anymore. Like, I'm just a girl. Like, I'm just like a God-fearing Christian girly out here doing her best. And I was so horrified, I don't think my brain could even comprehend what that meant. I remember like a year ago, like a year and a half later after all this, I woke up one day and I was like, my husband cheated on me. Like, I was just like so shocked by that revelation. And that was the point where I decided that we were going to be getting a divorce. I didn't tell him at that point. I waited like a couple days and I went over. It was right before Christmas. It was like December 21st. And I said, he was staying at his parents' house. I went downstairs and I said, hey, I want you to know, like, I'm really proud of myself for this. I said, I want you to know that you're forgiven fully and entirely on my part. Probably for selfish reasons. I don't want to carry this burden the rest of my life. But you are forgiven by me entirely. I will not hold this against you. But we will be getting a divorce. And I love you. And this is going to be the most loving divorce that anyone has ever seen. We're going to part separate ways. And it's going to be okay. And we're both going to be okay. And his parents had no idea what was going on. So I went upstairs and I told them and I said, hey, this is what's been going on and why I have not been present. And his dad was kind, but his mom's response was, well, I expect you to never tell anybody about this, to keep our names out of your mouth, to never talk about this, to protect his reputation. And my response was, I will tell the truth about the situation. And obviously now here I am talking about it on the internet. So I'm sure I'll get some backlash about that, but that was the point in which I decided to file for divorce. Who did I marry? Part 7. So I'm okay.
No disrespect, but disrespectfully. Your son the one doing the crazy stuff. Don't come telling me I expect nobody to know this and keep our family name out of your mouth and yada, yada, yada. You pissy cause your son messed this thing up. You mad because I'm a strong enough woman to say, I'm not going to take what you're giving me. You cheated on me. You've lied to me. And you didn't have to. I'm a very understanding person. We could have worked it out. We could have went to counseling. You didn't want to go to work. You didn't want to do nothing. You didn't want to do nothing. And so I said, I love me more than this situation, and I'm going to get out of it. The mama mad at her for that? Baby, he's a product of you. He's a reflection of you. Don't tell me to keep nothing up out of nobody's mouth, or don't mention this or say nothing about this. Ma'am, although your son is grown, you need to go take some parenting classes or something. Maybe y'all can start over. Maybe you can teach him a thing or two. Because it don't look like you did a good job, ma'am. In my opinion, you did not do a good job with this young man. He's sorry. He's very sorry. Whew.
I think we're on part 8. I knew that by coming to the internet, 1, I knew people were going to want to hear the story. But 2, I think it's hilarious that I'm getting ripped apart for the way that I talk. I'm not saying you're wrong. I do say like, and I do say and I do talk like a Utah girl. So you are correct, but I
didn't notice.
I think it's so funny. And also I'm laughing. I'm not like heated about it, but it is funny. So basically, once we get to the point of me filing for divorce, it was really interesting because his comment to me was, you are dead to me. This never happened. I'm going to pretend like this never happened. And he stayed true to that. So I served him divorce papers and I never heard anything back. When he moved out, I told him he could take anything that he wanted, and he took his stuff. I mean, we didn't really have much besides the house, and he already told me the house was mine. I'd paid for it, and yeah, so in those divorce proceedings, we really didn't have any. I filed, I served him papers, never heard anything. So we ended up with a default divorce, which basically means he never signed the papers, but we waited a long enough amount of time with 0 response, no rebuttal, nothing from him, and so it ended up being a default divorce. And I'm actually pretty grateful for that because I know that like actual divorce proceedings get super nasty, and I'm so lucky to have avoided that period of that. And as grateful as I am for that, it was super interesting because it was also, like, so hurtful. Like, we were together for 6 years, okay? Married for 2.5. And it's just, to not even have the decency for you to sign our divorce papers was super interesting. Especially because through the whole, like, separation period, he was like, I'll do anything. I love you. 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 But hey, it made it super easy. And so for that, I'm grateful. I've only had a couple little interactions with him since, and they've all been so weird. First was that I had a couple girls DM me almost immediately after. I don't even think it was finalized. Basically being like, hey, my friend's dating your ex-husband. He says you've been separated for 7 months, divorced for a year. Like, is that true? And I was like, we're not divorced yet. So anyway, another one being he called me about 6 months later and was just like, I just want you to know, like, no one loves and respects their ex-wife. Like, I respect and love you. And I was like, cool. Aren't you dating someone? And he's like, no. And I'm like, I know that you're dating someone. Like, it's on social media. I know you're dating someone. And he's like, well, it's like not serious. Anyway, they're married and happy for them. Happy for them. I hope they're happy. I hope everything is so awesome. And then another one where I went to do my taxes and I bank somewhere and then my car loan's through a different place. And so when I went to log in, and that's where we used to bank together. When I went to log in to look at my car loan to do some stuff with taxes, I realized that I was still on his bank account as an authorized user and that there was a fairly significant amount of debt. And to be honest, I don't know how any of that works, guys. Like, anyway, but I was like, I don't want that, like, attached to me. I don't want any part of that. So I had to contact him per the bank's rules to get his signature to say, like, I can be off of his account as an authorized user. And, it was horrible. He was like, I signed it. And I'm like, hey, it's a DocuSign. Like, I can see when you log in, I can see that you haven't signed it. Like, it's not signed. He's like, yes, I did. And I'm like, it's not signed. And that went on. Finally, he signed it. Okay. So I, like, really haven't had any contact. I haven't really heard from him. Like, of course I hear things. My friends will run into him. So I ran into his parents a couple times and it was, like, always weird, but never really anything to write home about. And I just was like, I'm in my healing era. All is well. I'm doing great. And, until a couple months ago, I owned 2 properties, one where we lived when we were married and one where I live now. And I got a call basically being like, you're sent to collections, like something to do with fraud, for my utilities on that house. And I was so confused because they've been on auto pay for like 4 years now. And so I called them and I'm like, hey, what? And they're like, yeah, someone named ex-husband called and shut off these utilities. And I was like, wait, what? And because he used to be on that account, I think he was getting emails for it. But why did he call and shut my utilities off? It was just, like, so weird. And I'm like, whatever. I was upset, but whatever. And then it was just like a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, I was at the pool by my house and I saw this girl staring at me and I was like, this is so odd. Upon further inspection, that is his wife. And I was like, oh, interesting that we're at this pool together. And me being the little sneaky snake I am, I had to know. I was like, does she live here? So when she left, I just kind of watched where she went. And yeah, their house is literally less than 0.1 miles away from mine. And I had known that he was buying a house, and I kind of knew it was an American Fork because he went to my uncle, the one that he worked with, to get insurance on the house. And my uncle was like, I think he lives next to my parents. But when they looked it up, because it's a new address, it showed that it was like 15 minutes away, so I didn't really think anything of it. No, it's less than 0.1 miles away from my house. And I'm like, I think that's really interesting, given that he talked to my uncle, and I'm sure my uncle told him that. He's like, hey, she lives right there. And anyway, they purchased a home and we now live less than 0.1 miles away from each other. And I see him when we come home. Sometimes we come home at the same time in our cars. And we're both turning the same way. Because I'm not even kidding you. We take the same road every single day to get places. And it feels a little weird. Like, there's been some weird, spooky things going on around my house. I'm not pointing fingers. I don't know. All I'm saying is, guys, like, it's kind of weird. That's really strange. Of all the places you could coincidentally end up living when you kind of knew that's where I lived, it's a little weird that you moved right next door to me. And also, I've been living here for over a year and you just moved in. So, kind of weird, kind of strange. And now I get to see him fairly regularly as we come in and out of our neighborhood. Okay, I think we're on part 8. I knew that by... Okay.
Now in this story, and I'm grateful for it, I'm so happy that she did not have to deal with any like physical abuse from this man or anything like that. So in this story, this is probably about the only one. I'm glad, you know, it's probably about the only one that we've reacted to so far where physical abuse is not involved in the situation. But why do you guys think he moved that close? And it could just be a coincidence that weird stuff is going on around her home when or after she finds out that he's her neighbor, you know. But do you guys think he's doing something? You think he moved there just to do something to her, or just to kind of taunt her a little bit, or what y'all think? Let me know down in the comment section. That is weird. It's really weird. Really weird. Just saying.
Okay, part 9. Okay, so I mean, in general, that is like the broad synopsis. And there's so many things and so many parts, and like I could literally give you 1 billion trillion parts, and I'm not going to. We're going to leave it at that. But I think as a whole and as a conclusion and as a consensus, like it can be pretty controversial to bring things up like this on the internet, and it can be viewed as like attention seeking, or like you should keep that private and you shouldn't talk about it. And like I've even had a few friends be like, Kait, what are you doing? Look, I've been dealing with this for years now, and I've thought about bringing it up, I've thought about not, and I saw an opportunity and I took it. I have already gotten probably 20 messages and so many comments of people being like, oh, I went through the same thing. And that is the reason that I choose to speak on it. I cannot even begin to tell you the level of like isolation and pain and hurt that I went through, because I thought I was the only person who had ever gone through this. And there was a comment about how, oh, within your LDS bubble, I'm sure that was even more isolating. Yes, my faith plays a part in this. But outside of the LDS faith, right? If you're being mistreated in any way, if you're being lied to, if you're being cheated on, if you're being gaslit, it doesn't matter if you're a member of my faith or any faith. You deserve a relationship where trust is the basis. In my opinion, love without trust does not exist. I cannot love someone that I do not trust. And that's one of my biggest takeaways that I took from this entire experience. And when people ask me, like, were there red flags? I mean, you all know the story now. Yeah, kind of. But, like, I didn't know any better. I hope that when a girl listens to my story, listens to someone else's story, or sees me or talks to me about any of this, they can come to me and be like, whoa, I recognize that in this relationship that I had, or I can see these things, or I can avoid that in the next relationship that I have. Because unfortunately, the mistreatment of men and women within relationships is just so extreme. We do not treat each other very well, unfortunately. And oftentimes within romantic relationships, things get put aside because the person you love would never do that to you, right? I think that my ex-husband has a lot of problems. I think it stems from things in his childhood. I think it stems from a number of things. I don't know. But what I do know is, like, there's generational hurt that can come from me staying in a relationship like that. Like, that would have introduced my kids to a similar thing, and that's ultimately why I chose to leave. So whether or not you agree with me, whether or not you think I should have shared, whether or not you think this is like a private thing, a public thing, I believe that by choosing to speak out and talk about the fact that I think everybody deserves to be in a happy, healthy relationship, by helping to point out flags that I saw in my own life, decisions I made that I don't agree with now, I think that we can prevent other people from going through that. And if there's one person who can learn from my mistakes and my experience, I would certainly hope that this would be something that would help them move on past that. And I've always been, in my personal life, I'm so incredibly open about this. And it's kind of like what I said earlier. It's like, it's fun to talk about the tea. It's fun to talk about the drama. But my biggest hope that all of you who have listened to my 9-part series and listened to me ramble on and say like and a billion times, I hope that you know that you deserve love where you are respected, where you can trust them, where you are treated as highly as you can possibly think. I don't want any of us settling for anything less than that. I hope that we can also look at ourselves and be like, hey, how can I better treat the people in my life, and how can I better treat people in my romantic relationships? So again, I could go on and on and on and on, but you are so loved. I love you. If you find yourself in a similar situation, I just want you to know, like, you are going to be just fine. I promise you that if you are facing leaving a situation, I am not a proponent of divorce, but I am a proponent of making decisions that are for the better and greater good. And if that's what you need, and if that's what you've had to do in the past, if you've gone through something similar, I applaud you, and I know the strength and the courage that it takes to walk away from an entire life and start over. You're loved. You are so wonderful, and thank you for listening. Okay, part 9. Okay, you guys, also there's a ton of comments talking about this, and you are right.
I don't know what that's about. She put that beautifully at the end. I feel like I don't even got to end this video with the message, because I typically say just about the same thing as to what she said here. Look, you guys are all worthy. Everyone deserves love and respect and honesty. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you're not ignoring red flags, and make sure you're not just caught up in the rapture of love. Okay? Because really, if you're not being respected, you're not being told the truth, you're not being loved properly. You know what I'm saying? And just being caught up in a lie is the worst. No need to keep that going for years and years. You done gave that man, you done gave that woman all these years already. And if it's already been red flags from the jump and you still getting red flags, baby, do what you need to do. You know what decision to make. I just got one question before we leave. It's a question I would like to talk about in the comment section. Y'all remember in the beginning of the video where she said they saved themselves for marriage? So she saved herself, but we don't know if he saved himself. What y'all think? She said he was so much more advanced than she was. He knew what he was doing so much more than she did. Do you think he really saved himself, but he learned what to do and how to do them through videos, through the adult films? Or do you think he was already out in the field active, already doing stuff with other people, and so he was familiar with what to do when they got in the bedroom after they got married? Y'all let me know down in the comment section. Look, if you like videos like this and you want to see more is to come. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, because right now, King Day is out. Peace. The motherfucking building.
Run it up was up. JBRISKO, not know when was up. Run that shit, we had all the show. Say that shit for your camera roll.